solidifies with a final, bone-jarring lurch that sends you stumbling against a brass pole. For the past 20 minutes, your reality has been a chaotic blur of screeching brakes, beds sliding across the floor, and the dizzying sensation of streets and houses compressing and stretching like taffy to let the colossal purple triple-decker bus squeeze through impossible gaps. The journey on the night bus is never pleasant, but it is always efficient. One moment, you were standing on a quiet, sun-dappled suburban street, and the next, after a dizzying, stomach-churning ride through the veins of a hidden Britain, you are here. The conductor, Stan Shunpike, whose prominent ears seem to flap in the aftershock of the bus's sudden halt, yanks a cord with a deafening clang. The doors fly open, and he grins. Here you are, the leaky cauldron. Mind your head. You do more than mind your head. You mind your everything. You grip your now empty trunk, which you sent ahead to the pub for safekeeping, and wobble down the steps, your legs feeling like overcooked spaghetti. Your feet find solid ground, and the sensation is so profound, so welcome, that you have to stand still for a moment just to appreciate it. The cobblestones beneath your worn trainers are real, solid, and blessedly motionless. The world has stopped its violent, nauseating dance. Behind you, the night bus lets out a tremendous bang that makes a nearby flock of pigeons scatter into the air, and with a roar that shakes the very windows of the surrounding buildings, it vanishes, leaving behind only the faint smell of ozone and a lingering sense of vertigo. The sudden silence that descends in its wake is a balm to your frayed nerves. You are standing in the small, grimy courtyard behind the leaky cauldron. The air smells of damp brick and old barrels. Before you stands the famous archway, the portal between two worlds. It's a sight you've seen every year since you were 11, but it never loses its thrill. You pull your wand from your pocket, the familiar, smooth wood, a comforting weight in your hand. You feel a familiar tingle of anticipation, the feeling of coming home. You tap the bricks, the sequence as ingrained in you as your own name. 3 up, 2 across. The bricks begin to tremble, a low, grinding sound echoing in the small yard. A small hole appears in the center of the wall and begins to grow, the bricks retracting and sliding away from each other with a magical precision that is still, after all these years, breathtaking to watch. The archway expands, growing wider and taller, until it frames not a grimy London wall, but a bustling, sun-drenched, impossible street. Diagon Alley. You take a deep breath, a smile spreading across your face. The dizziness from the bus ride vanishes, replaced by a surge of pure, unadulterated joy. You step through the archway, leaving the mundane world behind, and the familiar, wonderful chaos of the wizarding world envelops you like a warm hug. Your shopping day has begun. The first thing that hits you is the sound. Diagon Alley is not just a place. It's a symphony. It's the cheerful, tinkling jingle of the bell above the door to Flourish and Blotts. The low, excited murmur of 100 conversations happening at once. The distant, rhythmic hammering from the Goblin Run Forge near Gringotts, and the soft, fluttering coo of the owls in the window of Elop's Owl Emporium. It's a soundscape of commerce, of community, of magic made manifest. Then comes the smell. It's a complex, layered perfume that you can't find anywhere else in the world. It's the crisp, clean scent of new parchment and old books drifting from the bookshop, mingling with the sweet, cloying aroma of cauldron cakes and pumpkin pasties from a nearby bakery. There's the sharp, herbal tang of potion ingredients, dried herbs, and pickled slugs, wafting from Slug and Jigger's apothecary. And beneath it all, the faint, metallic scent of gold and ambition that seems to emanate from the great, white marble edifice of Gringotts Bank at the far end of the street. It's the smell of possibility, the scent of a new school year, of fresh starts and old traditions. You begin to walk, your feet finding their familiar rhythm on the uneven cobblestones. The sunlight, a warm, late August gold, seems to hit the street in a different way here. It glints off the brass telescopes in the window of Wise Acres wizarding equipment. It makes the multicolored robes in the window of Madame Malkin's glow with an inner light, and it catches on the swirling, colored liquids in the display of the apothecary, making them look like captured jewels. The crowd is a river of color and movement. Families with young, wide-eyed first years who are staring at everything with the same sense of awe you once had. Groups of older students, like you, greeting friends they haven't seen all summer, their laughter echoing off the shop fronts, stern-faced ministry officials striding with purpose, their dark robes a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos around them. You even spot a celebrity, Gilderoy Lockhart, his teeth gleaming with a recent polishing charm, signing copies of his latest ghost-written autobiography for a crowd of swooning witches. You feel the magic in the air, a low, constant hum that seems to vibrate just beneath the surface of things. It's in the way the shop signs: a swinging cauldron, a hovering quill, a pair of self-knitting needles move with a life of their own. It's in the way the stack of cauldrons outside the pottage shop rearranges itself when a customer takes one from the bottom. It's in the faint, shimmering heat haze that rises from a street vendor's cart, where he's selling self-peeling potatoes and enchanted Brussels sprouts that sing off-key when you cook them. You clutch your list of required school supplies, the familiar parchment, a comforting anchor in the wonderful chaos. 6th year. The thought is both exciting and daunting. The subjects are harder, the expectations higher. New teas are no longer a distant, abstract concept, but a looming reality. But here, now, on this sun-drenched, magical street, that all feels a long way off. Today is not about exams or careers. It's about the simple, profound joy of being here, of being a part of this world. It's about the satisfying weight of new textbooks in your bag, the particular scent of a new quill, the taste of a butterbeer at the leaky cauldron after a long day of shopping. You look up at the crooked, charming buildings, at the bustling, happy crowds, at the faint, shimmering magic that infuses every brick and cobblestone. You take a deep, happy breath, smelling the parchment, the peppermint, and the endless, wonderful possibility. The dizziness is gone. The anxiety about the new school year is forgotten. You are home, and you have a lot of shopping to do before the joys of new books and potion ingredients. There is a necessary and always slightly intimidating first stop. Your shopping list is long, and your coin pouch is distressingly light. You turn your steps towards the far end of the alley, where a magnificent, snowy white marble building looms over the smaller, more colorful shops. Gringotts Wizarding Bank. The building seems to radiate an aura of immense wealth, ancient power, and a profound, humorless seriousness. You push open the enormous, polished bronze doors, a task that requires your full body weight, and step inside. The bustling noise of Diagon Alley instantly vanishes, replaced by a vast, echoing silence, broken only by the faint, distant chink of coins and the scratching of quills on parchment. The grandeur of the interior is always a shock. You are standing in a vast marble hall, so long you can barely see the other end. The floor is a gleaming checkerboard of black and white marble, and high above, 3 colossal crystal chandeliers hang like frozen starbursts, casting a cold, brilliant light over everything. Lining the hall on both sides is a long, high counter that stretches the entire length of the room. And behind it, perched on tall stools, are the goblins. They are exactly as you remember them, small, with clever, dark eyes, long, spindly fingers, and pointed beards that seem to bristle with intelligence and a deep, abiding suspicion of everyone who isn't a goblin. Each one is engrossed in their work. Some are weighing piles of shimmering, jewel-toned rubies on delicate brass scales. Others are examining galleons through jewelers' loops, their expressions stern and disapproving. Still others are making entries in enormous, leather-bound ledgers with quills so sharp they seem to slice the air. They work with a silent, focused intensity that is both impressive and deeply unnerving. Not a single one of them looks up as you enter. To them, you are just another wizard, another interruption in their important, profitable day. You join the queue, your feet silent on the cold marble floor. The line moves with an efficient, if not friendly, speed. You clutch your vault key in your pocket. Its familiar, heavy shape, a small comfort. You run through the mental calculations of what you'll need. The cost of the new Advanced Potions textbook, the price of a new winter cloak, plus a little extra for a few treats from Sugarplums. Finally, it's your turn. You step up to the high counter, feeling like a small child. The goblin teller before you has a particularly wrinkled face and a long, thin nose that seems to twitch with disdain. He doesn't greet you. He simply raises a single, questioning eyebrow. "Morning," you say, your voice sounding small and weak in the vast hall. "I'd like to make a withdrawal from my vault. Please." The goblin extends a long-fingered hand, his nails looking like sharp little daggers. "Key," he says, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. You place your small, golden key in his palm. He examines it for a moment, his dark eyes seeming to test its very magical signature, before nodding curtly. He pulls a large, heavy ledger towards him, dips a quill in a pot of dark, blood-red ink, and makes a swift entry. He then turns and barks a single, guttural word in gobbledygook to another goblin, who scurries off towards a heavy, unmarked door at the back of the hall. You wait in an awkward silence, trying not to stare at the goblin's pointed teeth. He ignores you completely, his attention already focused on a stack of what look like loan applications. After a few minutes, the other goblin returns, carrying a small but heavy-looking leather pouch. He hands it to your teller, who upends it onto a set of scales. With a glorious, cascading clatter, a pile of shining gold galleons, silver sickles, and bronze nuts tumbles out. The sound echoes beautifully in the quiet hall. The goblin counts the coins with a speed and precision that is hypnotic, his long fingers a blur. He then scoops the required amount into one of your own empty coin pouches without a single wasted motion. He slides it across the polished counter towards you. "Have a pleasant day," he says, though his tone suggests he sincerely hopes for the opposite. The transaction is complete. You grab the pouch, the weight of the coins, a solid, reassuring presence in your hand. The jingle they make as you tuck the pouch away is the starting pistol for your shopping day. You give the goblin a grateful nod, which he does not return, and walk away from the counter, feeling a little richer, a little braver, and ready to finally begin your shopping in earnest. Before the joys of new books and potion ingredients, there is a necessary, and always slightly intimidating, first stop. Your shopping list is long, and your coin pouch is distressingly light. You turn your steps towards the far end of the alley, where a magnificent, snowy white marble building looms over the smaller, more colorful shops. Gringotts, Wizarding Bank. The building seems to radiate an aura of immense wealth, ancient power, and a profound, humorless seriousness. You push open the enormous, polished bronze doors, a task that requires your full body weight, and step inside. The bustling noise of Diagon Alley instantly vanishes, replaced by a vast, echoing silence, broken only by the faint, distant chink of coins and the scratching of quills on parchment. The grandeur of the interior is always a shock. You are standing in a vast marble hall, so long you can barely see the other end. The floor is a gleaming checkerboard of black and white marble, and high above, 3 colossal crystal chandeliers hang like frozen starbursts, casting a cold, brilliant light over everything. Lining the hall on both sides is a long, high counter that stretches the entire length of the room, and behind it, perched on tall stools, are the goblins. They are exactly as you remember them. Small, with clever, dark eyes, long, spindly fingers, and pointed beards that seem to bristle with intelligence and a deep, abiding suspicion of everyone who isn't a goblin. Each one is engrossed in their work. Some are weighing piles of shimmering, jewel-toned rubies on delicate brass scales. Others are examining galleons through jewelers' loops, their expressions stern and disapproving. Still others are making entries in enormous, leather-bound ledgers with quills so sharp they seem to slice the air. They work with a silent, focused intensity that is both impressive and deeply unnerving. Not a single one of them looks up as you enter. To them, you are just another wizard, another interruption in their important, profitable day. You join the queue, your feet silent on the cold marble floor. The line moves with an efficient, if not friendly, speed. You clutch your vault key in your pocket, its familiar, heavy shape, a small comfort. You run through the mental calculations of what you'll need, the cost of the new advanced potions textbook, the price of a new winter cloak, plus a little extra for a few treats from Sugarplums. Finally, it's your turn. You step up to the high counter, feeling like a small child. The goblin teller before you has a particularly wrinkled face and a long, thin nose that seems to twitch with disdain. He doesn't greet you. He simply raises a single, questioning eyebrow. "Morning," you say, your voice sounding small and weak in the vast hall. "I'd like to make a withdrawal from my vault. Please?" The goblin extends a long-fingered hand, his nails looking like sharp little daggers. "Key," he says, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. You place your small, golden key in his palm. He examines it for a moment, his dark eyes seeming to test its very magical signature, before nodding curtly. He pulls a large, heavy ledger towards him, dips a quill in a pot of dark, blood-red ink, and makes a swift entry. He then turns and barks a single, guttural word in gobbledygook to another goblin, who scurries off towards a heavy, unmarked door at the back of the hall. You wait in an awkward silence, trying not to stare at the goblin's pointed teeth. He ignores you completely, his attention already focused on a stack of what look like loan applications. After a few minutes, the other goblin returns, carrying a small but heavy-looking leather pouch. He hands it to your teller, who upends it onto a set of scales, with a glorious, cascading clatter. A pile of shining gold galleons, silver sickles, and bronze nuts tumbles out. The sound echoes beautifully in the quiet hall. The goblin counts the coins with a speed and precision that is hypnotic. His long fingers a blur. He then scoops the required amount into one of your own empty coin pouches without a single wasted motion. He slides it across the polished counter towards you. "Have a pleasant day," he says, though his tone suggests he sincerely hopes for the opposite. The transaction is complete. You grab the pouch, the weight of the coins a solid, reassuring presence in your hand. The jingle they make as you tuck the pouch away is the starting pistol for your shopping day. You give the goblin a grateful nod, which he does not return, and walk away from the counter, feeling a little richer, a little braver, and ready to finally begin your shopping in earnest, leaving the cold, intimidating grandeur of Gringotts behind. You step back out into the warm, chaotic sunshine of Diagon Alley with a renewed sense of purpose. Your pouch is heavy, your list is long, and your first real destination awaits: Flourish and Blotts. The bookshop is, as always, a wonderful, comforting, and slightly hazardous place. The moment you push open the door and hear the familiar, cheerful jingle of the bell, you are enveloped by the most wonderful smell in the world, the scent of paper and ink. It's a smell that promises adventure, knowledge, and mystery. The shop is crammed from floor to ceiling with books. They are stacked on shelves, piled high on tables, and arranged in teetering, precarious towers that seem to defy gravity. The air is filled with the soft rustle of turning pages and the low, murmuring voices of witches and wizards lost in their own literary worlds. You pull out your book list for your 6th year. The requirements are more daunting than ever before. You navigate the crowded aisles, your eyes scanning the spines. You find Advanced Potion Making by Libacious Borage, its cover disturbingly stained with what you hope are just potion spills. You locate a guide to advanced transfiguration, a book so heavy it feels like it might transfigure itself into an anvil at any moment. You pick up your new copy of Magical Theory, Volume 6, The Metaphysical and Ethical Implications of Reciprocal Enchantment. A title so dense it makes your head hurt just to read it. As you gather your required reading, you feel a sense of both dread and excitement. These books represent the challenges ahead, the difficult newt-level magic you will be expected to master. But they also represent a new chapter, a deeper dive into the world of magic that you have come to love. You run your fingers over the crisp, new pages, the scent of fresh ink filling your nostrils, and you can't help but feel a thrill of anticipation. With your school books tucked under your arm, you allow yourself a small detour. You are a student, yes, but you are also a reader. You wander over to the fiction section, a slightly less crowded corner of the shop, where stories of all kinds are waiting to be discovered. Your eyes immediately land on a display for the new Spellbound Mysteries series. The covers are lurid and exciting, featuring shadowy figures, glowing wands, and titles like The Case of the Cursed Cauldron and The Secret of the Serpent's Kiss. You pick one up, a guilty pleasure. The back cover promises a thrilling tale of intrigue, betrayal, and a particularly nasty hex that can only be solved by a plucky, young, unspeakable in training. You tell yourself it's for some light reading over the Christmas holidays, but you know you'll probably have it finished on the Hogwarts Express before you even see the castle. You add it to your pile and are about to head to the counter when a book on a high, dusty shelf catches your eye. It's not the title that draws your attention. It's too far away to read. But the book itself. It's a small, slim volume bound in what looks like dark, featureless leather, with no markings on the spine. It seems older than the other books around it, radiating a quiet, subtle aura of forgotten magic. Your curiosity piqued, you reach up, stretching on your tiptoes to try and grasp its spine. And then, something strange happens. Just as your fingers are about to touch it, the book slides sideways, moving away from your hand with a smooth, silent motion. It's not a fall. It's a deliberate, evasive maneuver. You frown, perplexed. You try again, reaching a little further. Again. The book slides away, tucking itself neatly behind a larger, thicker tome. It's as if the book itself is actively avoiding you. "Ah," a soft voice says from behind you. You turn to see the shopkeeper, a kindly old wizard with a cascade of white hair and ink stains on his fingers. He is looking up at the shelf with a knowing, slightly weary smile. "Having trouble with that one? Are you?" It seems to be moving," you say, feeling slightly foolish. "That it does," the shopkeeper says with a nod. "That one's a bit particular. It's been here for years. Every now and then, someone tries to buy it, but it never lets them. Hides, slips away. Sometimes even changes the words on its own cover. Seems that one doesn't like to be bought. It's waiting for something, I suppose, or someone." He gives you a friendly wink, as if sentient, stubborn books are the most normal thing in the world, and shuffles off to help another customer. You look up at the shelf one last time. The book is completely hidden now, its presence just a memory. You feel a strange sense of disappointment, a feeling of having been judged and found wanting by a piece of enchanted leather and parchment. With a small sigh, you turn away, your new school books feeling suddenly very ordinary in your arms. You head to the counter to pay. The mystery of the book that didn't want to be read, a new, unanswered question to add to your collection. Laden with your heavy new textbooks, you make your way to your next essential stop, Madame Malkin's Robes for All Occasions. It's an annual ritual, but one that has become more pressing with each passing year. You've had another growth spurt over the summer, a fact made painfully obvious the last time you tried on your old school robes and found the sleeves hovering a good 3 inches above your wrists. You push open the door to the shop and are greeted by the gentle jingle of a bell and the soothing, clean scent of lavender and freshly pressed fabric. The shop is an oasis of calm after the chaotic clutter of the bookshop. Bolts of shimmering silk, sturdy black wool, and soft, warm velvet are stacked neatly on shelves that reach the ceiling. Mannequins stand in elegant, frozen poses, showcasing everything from smart school robes to elaborate, star-spangled dress robes. The air is filled with the soft snip, snip, snip of enchanted shears and the quiet, whirring buzz of self-threading needles. A short, smiling witch in lavender-colored robes bustles towards you. "Hogwarts, dear?" she asks, her eyes already expertly assessing your height and the unfortunate length of your current sleeves. Another year, another few inches. I see. It never fails. It's Madame Malkin herself, her face a kind, familiar landscape of cheerful efficiency. "Right this way, up on the stool for me." She leads you to the back of the shop, where a series of low, sturdy stools stand before a triptych of full-length mirrors. You step up onto one, and the familiar, slightly unnerving process begins. Madame Malkin doesn't use an ordinary measuring tape. She pulls out her wand, gives it a flick, and a slender, silver measuring tape shoots out like a serpent, springing to life. It begins its work with a will of its own. It zips up your arm, measuring from shoulder to wrist. It wraps itself snugly around your chest, then your waist, calling out the numbers in a soft, whispering voice. 34 inches, 27, inseam of 32. It's an odd sensation, being measured by a sentient piece of silver ribbon. You try to stand perfectly still as it flits and hovers around you, its cool, metallic surface occasionally brushing against your skin. A standard growth and development charm. Number 3. Madame Malkin murmurs to herself, already pulling a set of plain black school robes from a nearby rack. Should fit perfectly. She helps you into them, the fabric cool and crisp against your skin. She stands back, her head tilted, her expert eye scanning for any imperfections. The shoulders are good, but the hem is a little long. No matter. We'll have that sorted in a jiffy. She claps her hands twice. A pin cushion and a handful of sharp, silver pins float up from a nearby table and hover at her side. As she kneels to adjust the hemline, her fingers moving with a speed and precision that is mesmerizing. You stare at your own reflection in the three-way mirror. The new robes look good. They make you look older, more serious, like a proper 6th year. As you are admiring the fit, you catch a flicker of movement in the mirror to your left. You glance over. In the reflection, you can see a mannequin standing in the corner of the shop. It's a plain, featureless mannequin, dressed in a simple, gray traveling cloak. But as you watch, its smooth, sculpted head turns slightly, and its painted-on eyes blink. Once, a slow, deliberate, and utterly impossible blink. You freeze, your breath catching in your throat. You look away from the mirror and whip your head around to look at the real mannequin in the corner. It is perfectly still, its head facing forward, its eyes just lifeless dabs of black paint. There is nothing out of the ordinary about it at all. Your heart begins to pound a frantic, staccato rhythm. Did you just imagine that? Was it a trick of the light? A flicker from the enchanted mirrors? Or did that mannequin actually look at you? You glance back at your reflection, but the mirrored mannequin is now just as still and lifeless as the real one. There is no trace of the impossible movement you just witnessed. All right, dear, just stand still for one more moment, Madame Malkin says, oblivious to your sudden internal crisis. A needle and thread, unspooling from a bobbin floating near her shoulder, begins to stitch the hem of your robes with a speed no human hand could match. The needle moves in a blur, leaving a perfect, invisible seam in its wake. You force yourself to stand still, your eyes glued to your own reflection, trying to appear calm and normal. You don't look at the corner of the mirror again. You don't want to know if the mannequin will blink again. The strange book in Flourish and Blotts. And now this. It feels as though the very fabric of Diagon Alley is subtly glitching around you today, showing you tiny, impossible things that no one else seems to notice. It's a secret between you and the magic of the alley itself. There we are, Madame Malkin says, standing up and brushing off her hands. A perfect fit that should see you through to Christmas. At least. The enchanted measuring tape zips back into her pocket. Its job complete. You step down from the stool, the new robes feeling wonderfully crisp and correct. You feel taller, more prepared for the year ahead. You pay Madame Malkin, the jingle of your new coins, a satisfying sound. As you leave the shop, the little bell above the door tinkling cheerfully, you can't resist one last quick glance over your shoulder at the mannequin in the corner. It stands perfectly still, its painted eyes staring blankly into space. But you can't shake the feeling that, just for a moment, it was watching you go. Your next stop is a small, unassuming shop tucked between the grand storefront of the apothecary and a noisy, bustling pet store. The sign above the door is simple, carved from a dark, polished wood. Scribulous, ever writing, inks. A smaller sign in the window adds, and fine quills for the discerning witch or wizard. This is a place you love. It's quiet, serious, and it smells divine. You push open the door and are immediately enveloped by the rich, complex aroma of ink. It's not a single scent, but a symphony of them. The sharp, tangy smell of standard black ink, the faint, floral perfume of enchanted, color-changing ink, the deep, earthy scent of permanent ink, and the metallic tang of invisible ink that can only be revealed by a specific charm. It's the scent of words, of secrets, of stories waiting to be written. The shop is small and quiet, a stark contrast to the bustle of the alley outside. The walls are lined with shelves, but instead of books, they hold thousands of tiny glass bottles, each filled with a different shade of ink. There are inks of every imaginable color, from a sensible navy blue to a shimmering, ethereal silver, to a garish, bright pink that seems to pulse with a life of its own. In the center of the room, displayed under such magical light, are the quills. They are laid out on beds of dark velvet, arranged like precious jewels. This is what you've come for. Your old quill, a reliable but uninspired eagle feather, has seen better days. For your newt years, you want something new, something with a bit more personality. You begin to browse, running your fingers gently over the feathers. The selection is breathtaking. There is a magnificent phoenix feather quill. Its fiery red and gold plumage so bright it seems to warm the air around it. You look at the price tag and quickly move on, not wanting to spend your entire Gringotts withdrawal on a single writing implement, no matter how legendary. There is a beautiful, iridescent peacock feather quill, its colors shifting from blue to green to gold as you move. It's lovely, but perhaps a little too flashy for taking notes in Transfiguration. There are sturdy, practical owl feathers of all shades, and long, elegant swan feathers that look too delicate to actually use. You spend a long time searching, picking up one quill after another, feeling its weight, its balance, its character. One feels too heavy, another too light. One has a nib that feels too sharp, another too blunt. You are beginning to feel a familiar sense of discouragement, the same feeling you had in the robe shop. What if the perfect quill doesn't exist? And then you see it. It's not in one of the main displays. It's in a small, wooden box near the back of the shop, along with a collection of other, less dramatic-looking quills. It's a single, long, dark feather. It's not black, not exactly. It's the deep, inky color of a raven's wing, with a faint, subtle sheen of dark blue and purple that is only visible when the light catches it just right. It's simple, elegant, and unadorned. You reach out and pick it up. The moment your fingers touch the smooth, cool shaft of the feather, a strange sensation shoots up your arm. It's not a shock, but a gentle, pleasant tingle, a hum of latent energy. It feels right. It feels like shaking hands with an old friend you've never met. As you hold it, marveling at the strange, familiar feeling, you notice something else. The tip of the quill, the sharp, dark nib, is beginning to glow. It's not a bright, flashy light, but a soft, subtle, internal luminescence. A faint, silvery white light that seems to be coming from within the quill itself. It pulses gently, in time with your own heartbeat. You stare at it, mesmerized. What kind of magic is this? You look up and see the shopkeeper, a wizened old wizard with ink stains up to his elbows, watching you from behind the counter. He has a small, cryptic smile on his face. "Ah," he says, his voice a soft, papery rustle. "It seems that one has chosen you." "Chosen me?" you ask, confused. "What do you mean? What is it?" The shopkeeper walks over, his eyes fixed on the softly glowing quill in your hand. "It's a raven feather, of course. Very good for intellectual pursuits, very precise. But this one is a little different. It's from a raven that nested in a tree with very old roots, a tree that has seen a lot of magic. The quill remembers it." He leans in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "They say a quill like this doesn't just write down what you're thinking. Sometimes it helps you think of the right thing to write." He winks at you, a slow, deliberate wink that suggests he knows far more than he is letting on. He doesn't offer any more explanation. He doesn't tell you what kind of tree or what kind of magic. He simply leaves the mystery hanging in the air, a gift for you to unravel. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is your quill, the memory of the strange, sentient book in Flourish and Blotts flashes through your mind. Some objects, it seems, have a will of their own. Some objects are not bought, but found. Or perhaps they do the finding. "I'll take it," you say, your voice filled with a newfound certainty. You buy the quill, along with a pot of standard black ink, though you have a feeling this quill might not need it. As you leave the quiet, fragrant shop, the bell tinkling softly behind you, you can feel the quill in your hand, its faint, magical hum, a silent promise of the words, the thoughts, and the secrets it will help you write in the year to come. The next shop on your list is impossible to miss. You can hear it and smell it long before you see it. Elop's Owl Emporium is a tall, narrow building, perpetually shrouded in a soft, dusky gloom. Even on the brightest of days, the sound that emanates from it is a constant, soft symphony of hoots, screeches, and the gentle rustle of thousands of feathers. The smell is uniquely its own, a dry, earthy, and slightly musky scent that is instantly recognizable as the smell of owls. You push open the dark, heavy door and step inside. The interior is dim and shadowy, the only light coming from a few magically dimmed lanterns hanging from the high ceiling. Cages of all shapes and sizes are stacked from floor to ceiling, creating a vertical forest of metal and wood. And in every cage, a pair of large, luminous, unblinking eyes watches your every move. The silence here is a different kind of silence than in the library or the quill shop. It's a living silence, punctuated by the soft whoosh of wings as an owl shifts on its perch, the gentle clink of a chain, or a low, questioning hoot from a dark corner. You love this place. It feels ancient and wise, a parliament of silent, feathered guardians. Your own owl, a grumpy but loyal tawny, is back at home, no doubt sleeping off a long summer of half-hearted mouse hunting. But you always make a point to stop here, both to pick up his favorite brand of owl treats, the ones with the crunchy beetle bits, and to simply enjoy the atmosphere. You browse the shelves of owl-related paraphernalia, your new textbooks and robes feeling heavy in your bag. You pick up a new brass perch, one with an enchanted, self-cleaning base that will hopefully make your life a little easier. You find a soft, boar bristle brush, perfect for grooming your owl's feathers and keeping them in prime condition for long flights to and from Hogwarts. You also grab a large bag of the beetle bit treats, knowing your owl will give you the silent treatment for a week if you come back empty-handed. As you're gathering your items, you wander towards the back of the shop, where the larger, more exotic owls are kept. There are magnificent eagle owls with fierce, golden eyes, and tiny scops owls no bigger than your fist, who rotate their heads almost a full 360 degrees to stare at you. And then you see it. In a large, ornate, silver cage, set apart from the others, sits a snowy barn owl. It is, without a doubt, the most beautiful bird you have ever seen. Its feathers are a pure, pristine white, as unmarked as freshly fallen snow. Its face is a perfect, heart-shaped dish of white, and its eyes are huge, dark, and so intelligent they seem to hold the wisdom of centuries. It is not hooting or shifting on its perch like the other owls. It is perfectly still, and it is staring directly at you. It's the same feeling you had in Madame Malkin's, the same prickle of awareness you felt in the bookshop, a feeling of being seen, of being singled out. You move closer to the cage, drawn by the owl's intense, unblinking gaze. The other owls seem to fade into the background. There is only you and this magnificent, silent creature. The shopkeeper, a stooped, elderly wizard with feathers in his hair, shuffles over. You've noticed, Minerva? He says, his voice a soft, reedy whisper. A real beauty, isn't she? But not for sale? Minerva, you ask, your eyes still locked with the owl. That's what we call her, the wizard says. She's more of a long-term resident. Been here as long as I have. Doesn't deliver mail. Doesn't hunt. Mostly just watches. Seems to know things. That one. He gives the owl a respectful look. Some folks say she's older than the shop itself. Older than the alley. Even. As he speaks, the snowy owl does something strange. It raises one white feathered foot and taps it once against the silver bars of its cage. It's a single, deliberate, soundless gesture. A greeting, a signal. Then it ruffles its pristine feathers and lets out a single, soft, musical hoot that seems to vibrate in the very air around you. It's a sound that feels less like a bird call and more like a word you almost, but not quite, understand. You feel a strange sense of connection to this bird, a feeling of shared secrets. The book that moved, the mannequin that blinked, the quill that glowed, and now this ancient, all-knowing owl. They are all pieces of the same puzzle, small, magical glitches in the fabric of an ordinary day. You feel like Diagon Alley itself is trying to tell you something, whispering its secrets to you in a language you are only just beginning to learn. She seems to like you, the shopkeeper observes, a look of surprise on his face. She doesn't usually pay much mind to the customers. You smile, a small, secret smile. You give the owl one last, long look, a silent thank you for whatever message it just tried to convey, before heading to the counter to pay for your own owl's, less mysterious, but no less important, supplies. As you leave the dark, quiet shop and step back out into the bright, noisy alley, you can still feel the weight of the snowy owl's ancient, intelligent gaze on your back. Your next destination is Slug and Jigger's Apothecary, a shop that assaults your senses in a completely different way. The moment you step through the door, you are hit by a wall of smells, a chaotic, alchemical perfume that is both fascinating and deeply unpleasant. It's the bitter, acrid smell of dried herbs, the eye-watering stench of pickled newt eyes, the sharp, vinegary aroma of what you hope is just bubotuber pus, and, underlying it all, the faint, slimy, cabbage-like smell of the slugs that give the shop its name. The shop is dark and cool, a welcome relief from the late afternoon sun. The walls are lined with floor-to-ceiling shelves, but here they are filled not with books or quills, but with thousands of glass jars, pots, and vials. Each one is filled with a different potion ingredient, some mundane, some rare, and some, you suspect, highly illegal. There are jars of shimmering, iridescent beetle eyes, barrels of slimy, black frog spawn, and delicate, silk-lined boxes containing the powdered horns of creatures you've only ever read about in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. You pull out your shopping list, which seems to get longer with every shop you visit. The requirements for 6th year potions are a significant step up from the previous years. No more simple wit-sharpening potions or sleeping draughts. Your list calls for ingredients that are more powerful, more volatile, and significantly more expensive. You navigate the narrow, crowded aisles, your heavy bag bumping against barrels and shelves. You find a large jar of dried shrivel figs, their wrinkled purple forms looking like the shrunken heads of grumpy old men. You carefully scoop the required amount into a small paper bag. The dry, papery rustle, a satisfying sound. Next, you need powdered moonstone. You find it in a series of small, delicate crystal vials, the powder within glowing with a soft, pearlescent, internal light. It's beautiful, and the price tag makes your eyes water. You grimace, but you know it's a required ingredient for the draught of peace, one of the most difficult potions on the Newt curriculum. You place a vial carefully into your basket. The rest of the list is a tour of the strange and the slightly disgusting. You weigh out a handful of spiky, black porcupine quills, trying not to prick your fingers. You find a jar of slimy, wriggling billywig stings, which are still buzzing faintly with residual magic. You even have to purchase a small, stoppered flask of what the label describes only as armadillo bile, a thick, yellowish liquid that you try very hard not to look at too closely. Then you get to the last item on your potions list. It's an ingredient you've never heard of before. You scan the shelves, your eyes moving past the flobberworm mucus and the dragon liver, until you find it. It's on a high, dusty shelf at the very back of the shop, a section marked with a small, ominous sign that reads, "For advanced studies only. Handle with extreme caution." The ingredient is in a single, black, ceramic jar, sealed with a heavy wax stopper. The label on the jar is written in a spidery, archaic script. It doesn't give a name. It simply says, "Do not sniff." You stare at the jar, a mixture of fascination and genuine fear coiling in your stomach. What could be so dangerous that its primary warning is about its smell? You imagine all sorts of terrible possibilities. A powder that, if inhaled, could turn your lungs to leather. A liquid whose fumes could make you forget your own name. You have a sudden, vivid memory of the cursed kettle exploding in the Ministry of Magic, and you feel a renewed respect for the inherent danger of magical ingredients. With extreme care, you reach up and take the jar from the shelf. It's heavier than it looks, and strangely cold to the touch. You place it in your basket as if it were a live grenade, making sure it's nestled securely between a bag of valerian sprigs and your new, much safer, winter cloak. As you head to the counter, you feel a sense of accomplishment mixed with a healthy dose of terror. You now possess the raw materials for some of the most complex and powerful magic you have ever attempted. The coming school year feels both more real and more dangerous. You pay the apothecary, a grumpy-looking wizard with a permanently stained apron, who barely grunts as he takes your coins. You step out of the dark, smelly shop and back into the bright, cheerful chaos of the alley. Your shopping bag, now clinking with glass vials and smelling faintly of armadillo bile and unspoken danger. Your school supplies are almost complete, but the strange, subtle mysteries of the day are still piling up, and you have a feeling your adventure in Diagon Alley is not quite over yet. As you step out of the apothecary, blinking in the bright afternoon sun, your senses are immediately assaulted by a stark, vibrant contrast. Just a few doors down, nestled between a dusty old cauldron shop and a store selling antique magical instruments, is a storefront so loud, so garish, so blindingly orange and purple that it seems to be shouting at the top of its lungs, Weasley's wizard wheezes, even from a distance. You can see the giant, animated figure of a Weasley twin tipping his hat over the entrance, and you can hear the faint sounds of explosions and manic laughter. You adjust the heavy shopping bag on your shoulder. The clinking of potion vials, a sober counterpoint to the chaotic energy radiating from the joke shop. You have no intention of going in. Your funds are dwindling, and you have no need for puking pastilles or nosebleed nougat. You are a serious 6th-year student, focused on your new teas. You are above such frivolous things, mostly. you begin to walk past, giving the shop a wide berth. When the front door bursts open with a sound like a firework going off, a witch and a wizard, both looking flustered and laughing uncontrollably, stumble out into the street, and in their wake, a massive, billowing cloud of shimmering, iridescent glitter erupts from the doorway. It's not just a small poof of sparkles. It's a magical glitter storm, a tidal wave of tiny, multicolored, light-catching particles that surges out into the alley. It's beautiful, mesmerizing, and you are standing directly in its path. You have no time to react. The glitter cloud envelops you completely. For a moment, the world is nothing but a swirling, dazzling vortex of purple, green, gold, and pink. The air is thick with it, the sunlight fracturing into a million tiny rainbows. It gets in your hair, in your eyes, on your new robes. You take an involuntary gasp and immediately regret it, your mouth filling with the taste of sweet, magical dust. You let out a cough, and a small, sparkling cloud puffs out from your lips. The glitter storm passes as quickly as it began, settling on the cobblestones like a shimmering, magical dust storm. You are left standing there, blinking, trying to clear the sparkles from your vision. You are covered, head to toe, in a fine layer of what you are sure is Weasley grade, extra sticky glitter. You will be finding these sparkles in your trunk for months. You are still coughing up the last of the glitter when you look up and your eyes meet someone else's. Standing just a few feet away, also caught in the glittery fallout, is a student from your year at Hogwarts. But it's someone you never would have expected to see here. Someone you associate with the quiet, studious corners of the library or the intense, competitive atmosphere of the dueling club. It's a face from another house, a face you've seen across the Great Hall or the potions classroom, a face that has always been set in a look of cool, aloof concentration. Now, that face is looking at you, their usually immaculate hair dusted with pink sparkles, a smudge of gold glitter on their cheek, and their expression is one of utter, undisguised shock. Their eyes are wide, their mouth slightly open. It's the same shock you feel reflected on your own face. The two of you, from different worlds within the castle, have been brought together by a random, chaotic explosion of joy and mischief. For a long, silent moment, the noisy, bustling alley fades away, there is only the two of you, standing in a shimmering circle of glitter, a shared, unexpected moment of absurdity connecting you. You see a flicker of something in their eyes. Is it amusement? Annoyance? It's impossible to tell. Before you can speak, before you can even think of something to say, the moment is broken. One of their friends calls their name, and they are pulled away, disappearing into the crowd, leaving you standing there, alone and sparkling. The encounter leaves you feeling strangely off-kilter. It's another glitch in the day, another moment that doesn't quite fit. Seeing that person here, in this place, covered in glitter, it's like seeing a professor in muggle clothes. It doesn't compute. It adds another layer to the day's quiet mysteries, another question for which you have no answer. You shake your head, sending a small shower of sparkles onto the cobblestones. You look at the loud, obnoxious, wonderful entrance to Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, and you think, with a sigh of resignation, that you might as well go in. After all, you're already covered in the merchandise. Stepping into Weasley's Wizard Wheezes is like being hit by a concentrated blast of pure, unadulterated chaos. If the exterior was shouting, the interior is screaming, singing, and setting off fireworks all at once. The shop is a riot of color and sound, a sensory overload designed to delight and overwhelm. Every square inch of the space is crammed with products that fizz, bang, squeal, and glow. The air is thick with the sweet smell of sugar, the sharp scent of gunpowder, and the strange, unidentifiable aroma of 100 different magical jokes brewing at once. The ceiling is so low and cluttered with flying, whizzing objects that you have to duck instinctively as you enter. A large, green, bat-like object with glowing red eyes swoops over your head. A bat bogey, hex in a box. According to a nearby sign, a net hangs from the center of the ceiling, filled with what looks like pulsating, fleshy sacs labeled Nosebleed Nougat, the ultimate classroom escape. You give it a wide berth, not wanting to be caught underneath it if it should accidentally spring its trap. The shelves are a testament to the boundless, chaotic genius of the Weasley twins. There are boxes of extendable ears, their long, flesh-colored cords wriggling slightly. There are displays of spinning hats, headless hats that make the wearer's head invisible, causing a few disembodied sets of shoulders to stumble blindly around the shop. There are piles of prank parchments that insult you when you try to write on them, and edible dark marks that make your tongue turn black for an hour. You navigate the crowded shop, your senses reeling. A group of young wizards are gathered around a large bin filled with what look like ordinary black sweets. One of them pops a sweet into his mouth, and a moment later, a perfect, mournful-sounding bird song erupts from his lips. He looks horrified and delighted all at once, singing sweets. You make your way towards the back of the shop, looking for the one thing you've decided you actually need. You pass a display of you no poo, the constipation sensation that's sweeping the nation, and have to sidestep a small, clockwork witch who is marching across the floor, shrieking insults at anyone who gets too close. Finally, you find it. The skiving snack boxes. They are stacked in a bright, cheerful display, each box a marvel of magical packaging. The boxes are divided into 4 color-coded sections: fainting fancies, fever fudge, puking pastilles, and the aforementioned nosebleed nougat. It's a complete kit for getting out of any lesson you could possibly want to avoid. You think of the long, arduous hours of newt-level classes ahead of you. You think of the notoriously dry lectures of Professor Binns. You think of the sheer, soul-crushing boredom of a double potions lesson on a rainy Friday afternoon. Buying a skiving snack box isn't just an act of mischief. It's an act of self-preservation. It's a practical investment in your future well-being. Or so you tell yourself. You grab a box, its cheerful orange and purple packaging feeling like a small act of rebellion in your shopping bag, nestled between your serious textbooks and expensive potion ingredients. As you head to the counter, you notice one of the Weasley twins. You think it's Fred, but you can never be sure, demonstrating a new product to a captivated audience. It's a small, rubber chicken that, when squeezed, lets out a deafening shriek that also happens to be a perfect, flawless counter-curse to minor jinxes. The sheer, brilliant absurdity of it makes you smile. You pay for your snack box. The witch at the counter, wearing a set of enchanted glasses that flash with different colored lights. As she hands you your change, she leans in conspiratorially. Fever fudge works best if you take it about 10 minutes before class starts, she advises with a wink. Gives it time to really get the coloring right. You'll look ghastly. You thank her for the tip and make your escape. Ducking under the nosebleed, nougat net one last time, you step out of the shop and back into the relative sanity of Diagon Alley. Your ears ringing, your eyes dazzled, and your robes still shedding a fine layer of multicolored glitter. The visit was overwhelming, chaotic, and slightly dangerous. And it was, you have to admit, brilliant. You tuck the skiving snack box deeper into your bag, a secret weapon for the year ahead, feeling just a little more prepared for whatever Hogwarts has to throw at you. After the sensory assault of Weasley's wizard wheezes, you feel the need for something a little calmer, a little sweeter. Your school shopping is officially done, but there is one last pleasant task on your list. Your best friend's birthday is in the first week of September, and it has become a tradition for you to buy their present here in the sugary, magical heart of Diagon Alley. You make your way to Sugarplum's sweet shop, a cozy, inviting storefront with a cheerful pink and white striped awning. Unlike the chaotic energy of the joke shop, Sugarplum's radiates a quiet, gentle charm. The moment you step inside, you are enveloped by the most heavenly smell imaginable. A warm, intoxicating cloud of melting chocolate, spun sugar, bubbling caramel, and 100 other sweet, delicious things. The air itself feels warm and sticky. The shop is small and brightly lit, with polished wooden floors and glass countertops that gleam. It's a jewel box of confectionery. Every surface is laden with magical treats of every shape and size. There are pyramids of shimmering golden cauldron cakes, great, thick slab of fudge in a dozen different flavors, and glass jars filled with tiny, glittering, fizzing whizbees that levitate gently inside. A chocolate frog display near the window has a few escapees hopping lazily across the counter, and a tray of peppermint toads are croaking softly, their sugary throats bubbling with mint-flavored foam. You browse the displays, your mouth watering. This is a far more pleasant sort of shopping. You remember your friend's particular fondness for floral flavors. Your eyes land on a beautiful, pale pink slab of fudge, studded with what look like crystallized flower petals. The small, elegant sign beside it reads, "Enchanted. Rose petal fudge. Tastes like a summer garden. Perfect." You ask the friendly witch behind the counter for a generous slice, and she cuts it with a small, silver knife, wrapping it in delicate, rose-patterned paper. Next, you need something with a bit more of a kick. Your friend has always appreciated a good prank, though nothing on the scale of the Weasleys' more extreme creations. You spot a bin of what look like ordinary caramel-wrapped toffees. The sign, however, is more intriguing. Exploding toffee for a surprise in every chew. Minor detonations. Only Sugarplum's is not responsible for singed eyebrows. You grin. That's exactly the sort of gentle chaos your friend would love. You buy a small bag, which the witch handles with a pair of thick, dragon hide gloves before handing it over. As she's ringing up your purchases, your eyes wander to a large glass jar on the counter. It's filled with what look like ordinary lemon yellow boiled sweets. What are those? You ask, your curiosity piqued. Ah, those are lemon puffs, the witch says, her eyes twinkling. A new creation. They're infused with a very mild, cheering charm, supposed to give you a little lift on a dreary day. She smiles. Would you like to sample one? You nod eagerly. She scoops one from the jar and places it in your hand. It's smooth and warm from the ambient heat of the shop. You pop it in your mouth. The flavor is intensely sweet and lemony. A burst of pure, concentrated sunshine. And then you feel it. A soft, gentle vibration against your tongue. It's not just a tingle, it's a distinct, low, happy hum. The sweet is actually audibly humming. You stare at the witch, your eyes wide with wonder. The strange occurrences of the day have conditioned you to expect the unexpected. But a humming sweet is a new and delightful twist. The book, the mannequin, the owl, the quill, and now this, a quiet, personal little piece of magic. Just for you. The witch just winks, as if she knows exactly what you're experiencing. They have a nice little buzz, don't they? She says, her smile full of secrets. You leave the shop with your friend's birthday present safely stowed. The sweet, lemony hum still vibrating gently in your mouth. The world seems a little brighter, a little warmer. You are laden with bags. Your pocket is considerably lighter, and you are still covered in a faint sheen of glitter. But your shopping is done. It's time to head for the leaky cauldron for a well-deserved lunch. Feeling content and accomplished. Your shopping bags heavy with the promise of a new school year. You begin to make your way back down Diagon Alley towards the leaky cauldron. The sun is beginning to dip lower in the sky, and the alley is cast in a warm, golden, late afternoon light. The crowds have started to thin as families head home, and the atmosphere has shifted from a frantic, bustling energy to a more relaxed, contented hum. You are walking past a dusty, old shop selling second-hand cauldrons when a sudden, mischievous gust of wind sweeps down the alley. It's a whirlwind of magical energy, picking up discarded sweet wrappers and stray pieces of parchment, sending them dancing through the air. It snatches the small, rose-patterned paper bag containing your friend's fudge right out of your hand. "Hey!" you yelp as the bag is lifted into the air, tumbling end over end just out of your reach. You break into a run, chasing the delinquent dessert as it bobs and weaves through the remaining shoppers. It's a ridiculous, undignified chase. The bag skitters across the cobblestones, always staying just a few feet ahead of you. It leads you away from the main thoroughfare, past the familiar storefronts, and down a narrow, shadowy gap between two tall, crooked buildings. You follow it without thinking, your only focus on retrieving the precious fudge. You duck into the gap, and the sounds of Diagon Alley are instantly muffled. The air here is still and cool. You take 2 more steps, and your hand finally closes around the paper bag. Victorious, you stand up straight, a triumphant grin on your face. And then you look around, and your grin fades. You are not in a simple gap between 2 buildings. You are standing at the entrance to an alley you have never seen before. It's not marked on any map of Diagon Alley you've ever studied. It's not dark and sinister like Nocturne Alley. It's just quiet and old. The cobblestones here are smaller and more worn and thick. Green moss grows in the cracks between them. The buildings that line the narrow alley are strange and unfamiliar. They are made of a dark, aged wood, with leaded glass windows so thick and warped they distort the light. The shop signs are faded, their paint peeling, their lettering written in an elegant, archaic script. You can just make out the words. The celestial orrery, clocks and astrolabes for the precise astronomer. Muriel's millinery, hats for hexes and high tea. The silver snail, purveyor of rare and self-sorting shells. These are not shops that exist in the modern Diagon Alley. It feels like you have taken a wrong turn and stumbled 100 years into the past. A profound, deep silence hangs over the place, broken only by the faint, musical, and completely sourceless sound of tinkling chimes. There are no other people here, no shoppers, no shopkeepers, just you and the strange, forgotten buildings. A shiver, not of fear, but of pure, unadulterated awe, runs down your spine. This is the source of the day's strange magic. The book that moved, the mannequin that blinked, the owl that watched, the quill that chose, the sweet that hummed. They were not glitches. They were echoes, echoes of this place, this older, quieter, more secret version of the alley. a version that exists just behind the veil of the modern world. You take a tentative step forward, your feet silent on the mossy stones. The air feels thick with forgotten stories. You feel like an intruder, a trespasser in a place that has been sleeping for a very long time. You run your fingers over a faded sign for a shop that seems to specialize in bottled echoes, and you can almost hear the faint, ghostly whispers of 1,000 lost conversations. You are so lost in the wonder of the place that you don't hear the soft creak of a door opening behind you. You only notice it when a new scent cuts through the dusty, ancient air. The smell of old wood, melting wax, and something else, something spicy and warm, like cinnamon and forgotten spells. You spin around, your heart leaping into your throat. The door that has creaked open belongs to a tiny shop nestled between the millinery and the shell purveyor. The sign above it is so faded as to be completely illegible. A blank, gray slate of wood. The shop itself seems to be leaning tiredly against its neighbors, as if exhausted from the effort of existing. The windows are dark and filled not with a cheerful display, but with a deep, dusty blackness that seems to swallow the light. It's the kind of place a sensible person would avoid. Your curiosity, however, has never been particularly sensible. A voice, soft and dry, as rustling leaves, drifts out from the darkness within. Looking for something you haven't thought of yet? The question hangs in the still, silent air of the hidden alley. It's not a challenge, not exactly. It's an invitation, a strange, cryptic welcome. You clutch your shopping bags. The mundane weight of your school supplies, a strange contrast to the profound, ancient magic you feel radiating from the open doorway. After a moment's hesitation, you take a deep breath and step inside. The interior of the shop is a single, small, circular room, even more cluttered and chaotic than Flourish and Blotts. But where the bookshop was a chaos of knowledge, this is a chaos of forgotten things. The air is thick with the scent you noticed outside. Old wood, melting wax, and cinnamon. But now it's layered with the faint, metallic smell of old clockwork and the dusty perfume of dried, unidentifiable flowers. The only light comes from a single, beautiful lantern hanging from the center of the ceiling. It's a brass lantern, intricately carved, and inside it, a tiny, captured star floats. Its light a warm, gentle, golden glow that casts long, dancing shadows across the room. The shop is filled with objects that defy categorization. There are shelves laden with what look like bottled dreams, each one containing a swirling, pearlescent mist. There are compasses whose needles don't point north, but seem to quiver in the direction of lost memories. A collection of beautiful, hand-painted teacups sits on a small table, and as you watch, the patterns on them, tiny, intricate dragons and phoenixes, slowly move and chase each other around the porcelain. In a corner, a grandfather clock with a face full of swirling constellations, instead of numbers, ticks backwards. Its chimes a soft, reverse echo of time itself. "Can I help you?" the voice says again. You look towards the back of the shop and see the shopkeeper for the first time. They are impossibly old, their face a road map of wrinkles, their eyes a pale, cloudy blue that seem to look right through you. It's impossible to tell if they are a wizard or a witch. They are simply old. They are sitting behind a counter made from a single, enormous, petrified tree stump, polishing a small, silver music box with a soft cloth. I don't know, you stammer, feeling completely out of your depth. I was just... My bag blew away. The shopkeeper gives a slow, knowing smile, a crack in their ancient, wrinkled face. The wind in this alley can be very particular, they say, their voice a dry whisper. It tends to bring people what they need rather than what they want. They gesture with a gnarled hand at the shelves of impossible objects. This is a place for things that have lost their way, things that don't quite fit in the world outside, much like our customers. Sometimes their pale blue eyes seem to twinkle in the light of the floating star. They know about the book and the mannequin and the owl. They know about the feeling you've had all day, the sense of being slightly out of step with the world around you. This shop, this alley, it's the source of it all. It's a place where the magic of the world has worn thin, allowing something older and stranger to peek through. You don't know what to say. You browse the shelves, your fingers hovering over the strange, wonderful objects. You touch a small, smooth, gray stone that is warm to the touch and seems to hum with a sad, forgotten tune. You watch a self-writing quill that isn't writing words, but is instead drawing a map of a place that doesn't exist. Every object in the room seems to hold a story, a secret, a question. You're a collector of questions, aren't you? The shopkeeper says, their voice startling you from your reverie. You look at them, surprised. I can see it in you. You don't just want the answers. You love the mystery. You nod, unable to speak. They have seen right through you, to the very core of your being. They reach under the counter and place a small, simple object on the polished tree stump. It's a key, an old iron, slightly rusted key with an ornate, circular head. It doesn't look particularly magical. What's this for? You ask, your voice a whisper. That, the shopkeeper says, their eyes twinkling again, is the most important question of all. It doesn't open a door. It opens a question. Keep it. When you find the right lock, you'll know. They slide it across the counter towards you. No charge. Consider it a professional courtesy. You pick up the key. It's heavy and cool in your hand. It feels important. You tuck it into your pocket. The solid weight of it, a new, profound secret. You thank the ancient shopkeeper, your voice filled with a sense of wonder that goes beyond mere words. They simply nod, their gaze already returning to the silver music box in their hands. You step out of the strange, dusty shop, the tinkling of the invisible chimes following you for a moment before the heavy wooden door creaks shut behind you. You stand in the silent, moss-covered alley. The heavy iron key, a secret weight in your pocket. Your mind is spinning, trying to process the impossible, wonderful, and slightly terrifying experience you just had. A shop that sells questions. A shopkeeper who seems to exist outside of time. You clutch your shopping bags, the mundane reality of your new textbooks and potion ingredients, a stark contrast to the ancient, cryptic magic you've just encountered. You need to get back. You need to sit down. You need to think. You turn and walk back the way you came, your feet echoing on the worn cobblestones. You reach the narrow gap between the two buildings, the portal back to your own world. You take one last look at the hidden alley, at its faded signs and its strange, silent windows, trying to commit every impossible detail to memory. You have a feeling you will never see it again. You take a deep breath and step through the gap. The change is instantaneous and jarring. The moment you step out, you are hit by a wall of sound and light. The bustling, cheerful noise of Diagon Alley rushes back in, loud and vibrant. The warm, golden afternoon sun is bright, and almost blinding after the dim, shadowy light of the hidden alley. You stumble for a moment, disoriented, as if you have just woken from a long, vivid dream. You turn around, wanting to look back one last time at the entrance to the magical, forgotten place. But there is nothing there. The gap between the two buildings is gone. In its place is a solid, grimy, unbroken brick wall, covered in patches of ordinary, non-magical ivy. There is no sign that a hidden alley ever existed there. There is no moss on the cobblestones, no echo of tinkling chimes. It's just a wall. You stare at it, your mouth agape. You walk over and run your hand along the rough, weathered bricks. They are solid, real. There is no hint of a doorway, no shimmer of an enchantment. It's as if the alley was never there, as if you imagined the whole thing. But you know you didn't. You reach into your pocket, and your fingers close around the solid, cool, undeniable shape of the old iron key. It's real. The shop was real. The ancient shopkeeper was real. It was a place that exists only for those who need to find it. A place that reveals itself only when the wind is right and a question needs an owner. You stand there for a long time, dazed and confused. The cheerful crowds of Diagon Alley swirling around you, completely oblivious to the impossible secret you now carry. You feel like you are walking in two worlds at once. The bright, bustling world of everyday magic, and the deeper, quieter, more mysterious world that lies just beneath its surface. Finally, with a shake of your head to clear the lingering sense of dislocation, you turn away from the solid brick wall. Your shopping is done. Your adventure, it seems, is over. But a new one, you suspect, is just beginning. You adjust the heavy bags on your shoulder and head towards the familiar, comforting sight of the leaky cauldron. You have a lot to think about, and you are suddenly very, very hungry. Pushing through the familiar, creaky door of the leaky cauldron feels like coming ashore after a long and bewildering sea voyage. The dim, fire-lit interior of the pub is a welcome sanctuary, a haven of comforting normality after the day's strange, glittering, and secretive events. The air inside is thick with the rich, savory smell of roasting meat, the yeasty aroma of ale, and the faint, pleasant scent of wood smoke from the enormous, crackling fireplace that dominates one wall. The pub is busy, but not with the frantic, purposeful energy of Diagon Alley. This is a place of rest, of conversation, of respite. The low-beamed ceiling makes the space feel cozy and intimate. Despite the crowd, the noise is a low, comfortable babble, the clinking of tankards, the murmur of a dozen different conversations, the scrape of a chair on the worn wooden floor, and the occasional booming laugh from Tom, the stooped, toothless landlord, as he polishes a glass behind the bar. You navigate your way through the tables, your heavy shopping bags bumping against the legs of chairs. You manage to find a small, empty table in a quiet corner, tucked into an alcove with a small, grimy window that looks out onto the unremarkable Muggle street beyond. You sink onto the sturdy wooden bench with a sigh of profound relief, dropping your bags to the floor. The simple act of sitting down feels like a luxury. A moment later, Tom shuffles over, wiping the counter with a rag that has seen better centuries. "The usual, is it?" he asks, his voice a friendly, gravelly rumble. You nod, a grateful smile on your face. "Yes, please, Tom." He returns a few minutes later with a steaming bowl of beef and ale stew, a tankard of frothing, golden butterbeer, and a thick, floury biscuit the size of your face. It's the most wonderful sight you've seen all day. You thank him, and he gives you a gummy smile before shuffling back to the bar. You take a sip of the butterbeer. The cool, creamy, sweet liquid is the perfect antidote to the dust and glitter of the day. It washes away the lingering taste of the humming lemon puff and the phantom sweetness of the Weasley's snack box. It's pure, simple, uncomplicated comfort. As you eat, you let the atmosphere of the pub wash over you. You are an anonymous figure here. Just another Hogwarts student getting their shopping done. No one is staring at you. No books are hiding from you. No mannequins are blinking at you. You are free to simply observe. At the table next to you, a group of goblins from Gringotts are having a heated, whispered argument in gobbledygook, their long fingers gesturing emphatically. Across the room, a family is trying to coax their nervous-looking first year into trying a bite of treacle tart. Near the fire, a pair of old wizards who look like they've been sitting in the same chairs since the last great goblin rebellion are locked in a silent, intense game of wizard's chess. The tiny stone figures hacking each other to pieces with miniature swords. The chatter around you is a rich tapestry of the magical world. You hear a witch complaining about the price of dragon-hide gloves. You hear a wizard boasting about his nephew's acceptance into the Auror training program. You hear two ministry officials gossiping about a recent decree from the Department of Magical Transportation. The conversation is a mix of 6 or 7 different languages: English, Welsh, a bit of French from a group of visiting witches, and the harsh, guttural sounds of gobbledygook. It's the everyday, working language of magic, and it's beautiful. You reach into your pocket, and your fingers close around the heavy iron key. You pull it out, placing it on the table next to your stew. It looks so ordinary, so out of place next to the magical, steaming food. A key that opens a question. What question? What lock? The mystery of the hidden alley feels 1,000,000 miles away in the warm, noisy, straightforward reality of the leaky cauldron. But the key is real. It's a solid piece of evidence, a tangible link to the secret world you stumbled into. You finish your stew, sopping up the last of the rich, savory gravy with your enormous biscuit. You feel warm, full, and blessedly normal again. The pub has worked its quiet magic, grounding you, steadying you. The chaos of the day, the strange encounters, the unsettling mysteries, they all feel less threatening here, softened by the warm firelight and the comforting fug of the pub. They are no longer a source of anxiety, but a collection of fascinating stories, of unanswered questions that you can carry with you into the new school year. You take one last long drink of your butterbeer, the sweet, creamy taste, a perfect end to the meal. The day is almost over. But before you leave, there's one last thing to do. One last look at the world you are about to leave behind for another year. With a full stomach and a mind that feels significantly clearer, you shoulder your now even heavier bags and step out of the leaky cauldron. The late afternoon has begun to soften into early evening. The sun is low in the sky, casting a long, golden, almost syrupy light down the alley. The crowds have thinned out almost completely, and a gentle, peaceful quiet has settled over the street. It's your favorite time of day in Diagon Alley, the magical equivalent of a deep, contented sigh. You decide to take one last, slow walk down the length of the alley, from the leaky cauldron all the way to Gringotts and back again. This isn't about shopping anymore. This is about saying goodbye. It's about soaking in the atmosphere, about memorizing the details of this place that feels more like home than any other, save for Hogwarts itself. You start your walk, your footsteps echoing softly on the cobblestones. The shopkeepers are beginning to tidy up for the day. You see the kindly old wizard from Flourish and Blotts levitating a stack of books back onto a high shelf. You see Madame Malkin carefully folding a set of dress robes in her window display. The frantic energy of commerce has given way to the quiet, satisfying rituals of closing time. You pause outside the window of quality Quidditch supplies, on a stand of polished wood, displayed on a bed of rich, dark velvet, is the newest, fastest broomstick on the market, the Firebolt Supreme. It's a thing of absolute beauty, its handle made of gleaming, polished ash, its twigs a perfect, aerodynamic sweep of silver birch. It seems to hum with a barely contained power, even through the thick glass of the window. You know you can't afford it. It probably costs more than your entire Gringotts vault. But you allow yourself a moment to dream. You imagine yourself on that broom, soaring over the Hogwarts Quidditch pitch, the wind rushing past your ears, the snitch a tiny, golden glint in the distance. You move on, pausing at the window of the magical menagerie, a cage full of tiny, fluffy, pink and purple pygmy puffs, tumbles and squeals, a chaotic, adorable ball of fluff. One of them presses its tiny, snuffly nose against the glass, its big, glossy eyes staring at you with comical intensity. You smile, then continue on your way. You stop at the ink shop, and in the window, you see a display of shimmering ink bottles. One of them contains an ink that is the exact color of a perfect, cloudless summer sky. Another holds an ink that seems to be filled with tiny, captured stars, swirling in a deep, black liquid. You touch the pocket of your robes, feeling the reassuring shape of your new, glowing quill. You can't wait to see what words it will write, what secrets it will help you uncover. Every window tells a story. Every display is a promise of the magic to come. The self-stirring cauldrons, the enchanted telescopes that can see the rings of Saturn, the globes of the moon that show its phases in real time. They are all a part of the rich, wonderful tapestry of the world you belong to. You reach the great, white marble steps of Gringotts and turn back, looking down the length of the now quiet alley. The setting sun is turning the crooked buildings a beautiful, warm shade of orange and gold. The shadows are long and deep. The alley looks peaceful, content, ready to rest before another day of chaotic, magical commerce. You think about the other alley, the hidden one. You think about the ancient shopkeeper and the strange iron key that now rests in your pocket. You realize that even this place, this familiar, beloved street, has secrets you have yet to uncover. It's a comforting thought. It means there will always be more to discover, more questions to ask. As you walk back towards the leaky cauldron, a profound sense of gratitude washes over you. Gratitude for this place, for this world, for the magic that hums just beneath the surface of everything. The day has been long, strange, and wonderful. And now, it's time to go. You have everything you need. Autumn is coming, and Hogwarts is waiting for you. You arrive back at the grimy, unassuming courtyard behind the leaky cauldron. It feels like a lifetime ago that you stood here, fresh off the night bus, dizzy and full of anticipation. The sun has almost set now, and the small, enclosed space is filled with deep, cool shadows. The air no longer smells of damp brick and old barrels, but of the coming night. You turn to face the brick wall, the portal to the world you are about to re-enter. The archway to Diagon Alley is still open, a perfect, inviting rectangle of light and color and magic. Through it, you can see the warm, welcoming glow of the shop windows, the last few shoppers heading home, the faint, lingering buzz of the day's enchantment. It's a world you belong to, a world you love, and now you have to leave it. It's always the hardest part of the day. Stepping back through the archway feels like closing the cover on your favorite book, knowing you won't be able to open it again for a long time. You take one last, long look, trying to burn the image of the alley into your memory. The crooked sign of the Owl Emporium, the garish orange of the joke shop, the comforting, bookish facade of Flourish and Blotts. With a deep, reluctant sigh, you take a step back, out of the archway and into the courtyard. The moment you are clear, the magic begins to happen in reverse. The bricks begin to tremble, a low, grinding rumble that echoes in the small space. They begin to slide, to move, to knit themselves back together. The archway shrinks, the vibrant, magical world of Diagon Alley contracting, folding in on itself. The view is squeezed, distorted, and then, with a final, soft thud, it is gone. You are left facing a solid, grimy, unremarkable brick wall. There is no hint of the magic that lies just behind it. No seam, no crack, no trace of the portal that was there just a moment before. Diagon Alley has vanished, sealed away, its secrets hidden once more behind a veil of mundane reality. The silence that follows is profound, a stark contrast to the lively, magical hum that has been the soundtrack to your day. The only sounds now are the distant, muffled roar of London traffic and the lonely coo of a pigeon settling down for the night. You stand there for a moment, feeling a familiar sense of loss, a quiet grief for the world you have left behind. You reach into your pocket, and your fingers find the two objects that are the tangible proof of your day's strangeness. The cool, smooth shaft of the raven feather quill and the heavy, solid weight of the old iron key. They are real. The magic was real. You take another deep breath, this one tasting of the city, of petrol fumes and damp air. The adventure is over. The shopping is done. It's time to go home. You turn your back on the brick wall and walk through the back door of the leaky cauldron, ready to face the mundane world once more.